The stars above Earth looked the same as they always had. People went about their daily lives, not knowing that death was coming from space. In the cold emptiness between worlds, a massive alien fleet moved toward the small blue planet. Admiral Deho stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the view screen that showed Earth growing larger. The planet looked peaceful and weak. Blue oceans covered most of its surface, with green and brown land scattered across it like islands. The Valkyrian admiral smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Such a primitive world," he said to his officers. "Look how much water covers their planet. What a waste of space. We will drain those useless oceans and build proper cities." The other Valkyrian officers nodded and made sounds of agreement. Their gray skin looked almost silver under the bridge lights. They had conquered 47 worlds before this one. Earth would be number 48. "Sir, we are receiving signals from the planet," reported Lieutenant Kexvor from his position at the communication station. "They seem to use very basic radio waves. Should we respond?" Admiral Deho waved a clawed hand. "Not yet. Let them wonder what is coming. Fear makes the conquest easier." Far below on Earth, in a military command center buried deep under Sol, General Bo-Ram stared at the screens showing the alien fleet. Her dark eyes were calm, but her hands were tight fists. She had been waiting for this day for 20 years. "How? Many ships?" she asked her aide, Colonel Namsik. "Our satellites count 800 vessels, General. They are moving slowly, probably scanning our defenses." General Bo-Ram almost smiled. "Our defenses. Yes. They will be very interested in what they can see." The aliens could see the military bases on the surface. They could see the ships in Earth's harbors and the planes at the airports. What they could not see was what really mattered. What they could not see was hidden beneath millions of tons of ocean water. "Send the signal," General Bo-Ram ordered. "Code Deep Blue." Colonel Namsik pressed a button on his console. The signal went out on a frequency that no surface equipment used. It traveled through underground cables and underwater networks to receivers placed on the deepest parts of Earth's ocean floor. 6 miles below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, Captain Su-Jin felt the vibration through the metal floor of her command room. The signal had arrived. She looked around at her crew, all of them waiting for her words. "This is it," she said quietly. "After all these years of hiding, of building, of preparing, they have come." The command room was huge, with curved walls that showed images of the ocean around them. Fish swam past the cameras, and strange deep-sea creatures moved through the darkness. But this was not a research station. This was the bridge of the Leviathan, humanity's most powerful warship. "Commander," Hyunwoo stepped forward. "Captain, the alien fleet is still 12 hours away from Earth orbit. We could surface now and surprise them." Captain Su-Jin shook her head. "No. We wait. Let them think they know what they are dealing with. Let them get comfortable." She walked to the main screen and touched a control. The image changed to show something that would have shocked the aliens above. Stretching out in all directions, hidden in the deep ocean, was a city. But it was not like any city on the surface. The buildings were made of metal and glass that could survive the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. Strange lights glowed in the darkness, and people moved through tubes and passages between the structures. This was New Atlantis, one of 12 such cities hidden in Earth's deepest places. "Engineering report," Captain Su-Jin said. Engineer Ye-Jin looked up from her station. "Captain, the shipyards report the millionth vessel completed this morning. All ships are ready for battle. The new pressure hulls tested at 150% of normal space combat loads. Captain Sujin nodded. The aliens thought Earth was weak because so much of it was covered by water. They did not understand that Earth's oceans were not empty space. They were the perfect hiding place for the largest military force ever built. Back, on the surface, the aliens finally decided to make contact. Admiral Daho's image appeared on screens all over Earth. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. When he spoke, his voice was cold and full of confidence. "People of Earth," he said, "I am Admiral Daho of the Velkarian Empire. Your world has been chosen for colonization. You have 72 hours to surrender all weapons and submit to Velkarian rule. If you resist, we will take your world by force. This is your only warning." The message ended, and General Boram looked around her command center. Her officers were trying to look worried, but she could see the excitement in their eyes. This was what they had trained for. "Send our response," she ordered. Colonel Namsik activated the communication system. "Admiral Daho, this is General Boram of Earth Defense Command. We need time to discuss your demands. Our leaders must meet and decide what to do. Please, can you give us more time?" Admiral Daho's reply came quickly. "You have 72 hours. Use them wisely." When the communication ended, General Boram sat back in her chair. "Perfect. He thinks we are scared and confused. Namsik, contact the other surface commanders. Tell them to make it look good. I want the aliens to see lots of emergency meetings and panicked radio chatter." "Yes, General." Deep below the ocean, Captain Sujin was having her own meeting. The main conference room of New Atlantis was filled with the commanders of Earth's hidden fleet, men and women who had spent their careers preparing for this moment. "The boy. Surface forces will play their part," Captain Sujin told them. "The aliens will see exactly what we want them to see: confusion, fear, and weakness. While they watch the surface, we prepare the real welcome." Commander Jinne raised her hand. "Captain, what if they scan the oceans?" "They will scan from space," Captain Sujin replied. "Their instruments will see water, fish, and normal ocean life. They do not know that our cities and ships are built to look like natural formations on their scanners." Captain Tae Young spoke up. "The engineering teams report all systems ready. The gravitational drives are functioning perfectly. The pressure cannons are loaded and targeted." Captain Sujin smiled for the first time in hours. "Excellent. Now, we wait. Let the aliens get comfortable. Let them think they know what they are dealing with. When they make their move, we will show them what happens when someone threatens Earth." The meeting ended, and the commanders returned to their ships. All across Earth's oceans, in trenches and deep places where the sun never shone, 1,000,000 ships waited in silence. Each one was built to survive in the most hostile environment on Earth. Each one was crewed by people who had dedicated their lives to this moment. Above them, the alien fleet moved closer to Earth, confident in their power and certain of their victory. They had no idea that beneath the waves, humanity's children of the deep were ready to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The countdown had begun. The Velkarian fleet hung in space above Earth like a dark cloud. Admiral Daho stood in his command center, watching the planet below through the large viewing screen. The blue and green world looked so peaceful and helpless. He felt pleased with himself. "Sir, we are picking up many radio signals from the planet," reported Communications Officer Zek Mole. "They seem very worried. Their leaders are calling emergency meetings all over the world." Admiral Deho made a sound that was like laughing. Of course they are worried. They have never seen real power before. What about their military? Very primitive, sir. We can see their warships in harbors and their aircraft on the ground. Nothing that could threaten us. Their most advanced weapons appear to be nuclear missiles, but they are too slow to reach us here. The Admiral walked closer to the viewing screen. Earth filled most of the view now, spinning slowly in space. The white clouds moved across the blue oceans and brown land masses. It looked so small and weak. Begin the next phase, Admiral Deho ordered. I want full scans of their major cities. Show me their population centers, their factories, their command centers. We will start with their largest city as an example. On Earth, General Boram sat in her underground command center in Seoul. The walls were covered with screens showing the alien fleet above and the surface military forces around the world. Everything was going according to plan. The aliens are scanning our cities, reported Colonel Namsik. They seem very interested in Seoul, Tokyo, New York, and London. Good, General Boram said. Make sure our surface forces look busy and worried. I want lots of radio chatter about evacuations and emergency preparations. Let them think we are running around like scared children. She touched a button on her chair. A secure communication channel opened to the Deep Ocean command centers. This is Surface Command to Deep Blue. Status report. The reply came from Captain Soo-jin, 6 miles below the Pacific Ocean. Deep Blue operational. All fleet elements in position and ready. Surface performance is very convincing, General. General Boram smiled. Thank you, Captain. The aliens are taking the bait perfectly. They think they are dealing with a primitive, panicked civilization. Deep below the waves, Captain Soo-jin walked through the corridors of New Atlantis. The underwater city was busy with activity, but it was controlled and purposeful. People moved quickly but calmly through the passages between buildings. Everyone knew their job. She entered the main engineering section, where Engineer Ye-jin was checking the status of the hidden shipyards. The room was filled with screens showing the construction areas spread across Earth's ocean floors. Report, Captain Soo-jin said. Engineer Ye-jin looked up from her console. All shipyards are operating. Normally, Captain. The last of the Type 7 battleships came online this morning. We now have 1,300,000 vessels ready for combat operations. Captain Soo-jin raised an eyebrow. More than 1,000,000. I thought we had exactly 1,000,000 ships. The extra ships were completed ahead of schedule, Engineer Ye-jin explained. The automated construction systems have been working at 120% efficiency for the past month. We also have the support vessels, repair ships, supply ships, and command carriers. Excellent. And the new gravity drive systems? All tested and ready, Captain. The ships can move through space like they are swimming through water. The aliens have never seen anything like our technology. Captain Soo-jin nodded and walked to another section of the engineering bay. Here, teams of scientists and engineers were working on something special. Commander Hyun-woo was overseeing the final preparations. Commander, how are the special projects? Coming along? Commander Hyun-woo turned to face her. Very well, Captain. The pressure cannons are ready for deployment. The sonic disruptors are charged and tested. And the surprise weapon you requested, that is ready too. Captain Soo-jin looked at the device they were working on. It was built into the hull of a small ship, but she knew it was incredibly powerful. Perfect. The aliens think they know what they are dealing with. They are about to learn how wrong they are. Above the ocean, in orbit around Earth, Admiral Deho was growing more confident by the hour. His ships had completed their scans of Earth's major cities and military installations. everything looked exactly as he had expected. "Sir," reported Tactical Officer Velkas, "we have identified all major population centers and military targets. The humans have approximately 8 billion people spread across their continents. Their military technology is at least 200 years behind ours." "What about their space capabilities?" Admiral Deho asked. "Very limited, sir. They have a few small space stations and some primitive satellites. Nothing that could threaten our fleet." Admiral Deho walked to his command chair and sat down. The soft cushions adjusted to support his tall, thin body. "Then we proceed as planned. Send a message to their leadership. Tell them their time is running out." On Earth, General Boram received the alien message in her command center. Admiral Deho's image appeared on the main screen, his black eyes staring out at her with cold confidence. "General Boram," the alien said, "your 72 hours are now 48 hours. We have completed our scans of your world. We see your military strength, and it is not impressive. Surrender now, and your people will be allowed to live as workers in the new colonies we will build." General Boram made her voice sound scared and desperate. "Admiral Deho, please. We are trying to organize a response, but our governments cannot agree. Some want to fight, others want to negotiate. We need more time to reach a decision." "You have the time you have," Admiral Deho replied. "Use it wisely. If you have not surrendered in 48 hours, we will begin demonstrating our power on your largest cities." The communication ended, and General Boram turned to her staff. "Perfect. He is completely convinced that we are helpless. Colonel Namsik, send the next phase signal to Deep Blue." The signal went out through the underwater communication networks to all the hidden cities and fleets beneath Earth's oceans. In command centers built into deep-sea trenches, in underwater factories that had been working for decades, and aboard ships that had never seen sunlight, the message was received and understood. Captain Sujin stood in the main command center of New Atlantis, surrounded by screens showing the positions of ships all across Earth's oceans. Each green dot on the display represented a vessel waiting in the deep places where human technology had learned to thrive. All fleet commanders. "This is Deep Blue Actual," she said into her communication system. "The aliens have taken the bait completely. They believe Earth is defenseless and that our surface forces are all we have. Phase 2 is now active. All ships remain hidden until Phase 3 activation." Responses came back from commanders around the world. From the Mariana Trench in the Pacific, where 1,000 ships waited in the deepest place on Earth. From the Puerto Rico Trench in the Atlantic, where another fleet had been hiding for years. From hidden bases under the Arctic ice, where specialized cold-water vessels had been built for extreme conditions. "This is Pacific Deep Command. All vessels ready and waiting. Atlantic Deep Command reporting. Fleet status green across all systems. Arctic. Command ready. Icebreaker ships are in position. Indian Ocean Command standing by. Deep Strike Forces ready for activation." Captain Sujin listened to each report with satisfaction. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive planet covered mostly by useless water. They had no idea that Earth's oceans were humanity's greatest strength, not their weakness. Dr. Haiwan entered the command center carrying a data tablet. She was the chief scientist for the Deep Blue Project and had spent 15 years developing the technology that made their hidden fleet possible. "Captain," she said, "the final analysis of the alien ships is complete. Their hulls are designed for space combat only. They will not be able to survive the pressure changes when our ships use full gravitational manipulation. And their weapons, Energy-based, designed to work in the vacuum of space. Our pressure-resistant hulls should absorb most of their power. Meanwhile, our pressure cannons will tear through their ships like they are made of paper. Captain Sujin smiled. Excellent. Dr. Haywan, make sure all ship commanders have this information. I want them to know exactly how helpless the aliens really are. Above them, Admiral Day-Ho continued to feel confident about his easy victory. His fleet maintained its position in Earth orbit. Sensors focused on the surface of the planet. They watched the radio chatter, the emergency meetings, and the panicked preparations of what they thought was a desperate, primitive civilization. None of them thought to look deeper. None of them considered that a species that lived on a world covered by deep oceans might have learned to use those oceans for something other than fishing and transportation. The countdown continued, and beneath the waves, 1,000,000 ships waited in silence for their moment to rise. Admiral Day-Ho stood on his command bridge, looking down at Earth through the main viewing screen. 48 hours had passed since his first warning to the humans. They had not surrendered. They had not even given him a clear answer about what they planned to do. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Zek Mole, "the humans are still sending confused messages between their governments. They seem unable to make a decision." "Then we will make the decision for them," Admiral Day-Ho said with cold anger. "Target their largest city. Seoul has 11 million people. When we destroy it, the others will understand that resistance is pointless." Tactical Officer Velkas worked at his console. "Targeting systems locked on Seoul, sir. Bombardment ships are moving. Into position." Admiral Day-Ho smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Fire when ready. Let us give these primitive humans a demonstration of Velkarian power." On Earth, General Boram watched the alien ships moving into attack position above her city. She sat calmly in her underground command center, even though she knew that death was about to rain down from space. Her staff looked nervous, but she had trained them well. They trusted her. "General," said Colonel Namsik, "the alien bombardment ships are charging their weapons. They will fire on Seoul in approximately 3 minutes. "Perfect timing, General," Boram said quietly. She touched a control on her chair. "This is Surface Command to Deep Blue. Execute Phase 3. I repeat, execute Phase 3 immediately." 6 miles below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, Captain Sujin heard the order she had been waiting for. She stood in the center of New Atlantis Command Center, surrounded by screens showing the positions of over 1,000,000 ships hidden in Earth's deepest places. "All fleet commanders," she said into her communication system, "this is Deep Blue. Actual. Phase 3 is now active. Rise and engage. Show them what happens when someone threatens Earth." The response was immediate. All across Earth's oceans, in places where the pressure would crush any normal ship, humanity's hidden fleet began to move. The ocean itself seemed to come alive. In the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth, massive shapes began rising from the sea floor. These were not ordinary ships. They were built like living things, with curved hulls that could survive pressures that would destroy any surface vessel. As they rose through the water, they moved with grace and power that seemed impossible for machines their size. Admiral Day-Ho was about to give the order to fire on Seoul when his sensor officer made a sound of confusion and fear. "Sir," Sensor Officer Tekran said with a shaking voice, "I am reading massive energy signatures rising from Earth's oceans. Multiple contacts. Hundreds. No, thousands of contacts." "What are you talking about?" Admiral Day-Ho demanded. "There is nothing in those oceans except water and primitive sea life. Sir, you need to see this." Tekron said, his voice getting higher. "The contacts are big, sir, really big, and they are moving fast." Admiral Deho rushed to the sensor station and looked at the display screen. What he saw made his blood run. Cold. Green dots were appearing all over the display, rising from the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. As he watched, the number of contacts grew from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands. "This is impossible," he whispered. On the main viewing screen, the first of Earth's ships broke the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Water poured off its hull as it rose into the air, but this was not like any ship the aliens had ever seen. It was huge, at least twice the size of a Valkyrian battleship, with a hull that seemed to shift and flow like it was alive. More ships followed. They rose from the ocean in perfect formation, water streaming from their hulls as they moved from sea to space without any visible effort. Their design was unlike anything in the galaxy, curved and organic-looking like massive sea creatures that had learned to fly. "Impossible," Admiral Deho said again, but his voice was weaker now. "Where did they come from? How did we not detect them?" Captain Su-Jin stood on the bridge of the Leviathan as her ship rose from the depths. Through the viewing screen, she could see the alien fleet hanging in space above Earth. They looked small and fragile compared to the ships that were now surrounding them. "Communications Officer Shung Ho," she said calmly, "open a channel to the alien fleet and to all governments on Earth. It is time for proper introductions." Communications Officer Sung Ho worked at his station. "Channel open, Captain." Captain Su-Jin stepped forward so the aliens could see her clearly. She was tall and strong, with calm dark eyes that showed no fear. Behind her, the bridge of the Leviathan hummed with quiet power. "Admiral Deho of the Valkyrian Empire," she said in a voice that carried absolute authority. "This is Captain Su-Jin of the Earth Deep Fleet. You have 10 minutes to withdraw all ships from our solar system. This is your only warning. Admiral." Deho stared at the human woman on his screen. Around her, he could see a command center that looked more advanced than anything in the Valkyrian fleet. The technology was strange and beautiful, with curved surfaces and flowing lines that seemed to pulse with life. "This is impossible," he said, but his voice cracked as he spoke. "You are a primitive species. You have no space fleet. Our scans showed only basic surface technology." Captain Su-Jin smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. "Your scans saw exactly what we wanted you to see. Did you really think that a species living on a world covered by deep oceans would ignore those oceans? Earth's seas are not empty. Space, Admiral. They are the perfect place to build the largest fleet in galactic history." As she spoke, more ships continued rising from the oceans. They came from the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Indian Ocean, and even from under the Arctic ice. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering, built to survive in Earth's most hostile environments. Commander Hyun-woo stepped up beside Captain Su-Jin. "Captain, all fleet elements have reached surface positions. We have the alien fleet completely surrounded." Admiral Deho looked at his tactical display and felt fear like he had never known before. The green dots representing human ships now filled the screen. His 800 ships were surrounded by thousands, no, tens of thousands of enemy vessels. "How many ships do you have?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Enough, Captain," Su-Jin replied. "We have been building this fleet for over 50 years, Admiral. Every day, every year, adding more ships and improving our technology. While you conquered other worlds, we prepared for you." Dr. Hae-won stepped into view behind Captain Su-Jin. Our ships are built to survive pressures that would crush your vessels instantly, she said. They are powered by gravitational manipulation systems that allow them to move through space like they are swimming through water. Your energy weapons were designed for vacuum combat. They will be largely useless against hulls built to withstand the deepest ocean trenches. Admiral Deho tried to regain his composure. You cannot defeat the entire Valkyrian Empire with just one fleet. We have thousands of ships across the galaxy. Admiral, Captain Sujin said patiently, you seem to misunderstand the situation. This is not just one fleet. This is 1 million ships. And they are all here, surrounding you right now. The alien admiral's legs gave out, and he collapsed into his command chair. 1 million ships. The number was beyond anything he had imagined possible. The entire Valkyrian Empire had fewer than 10,000 ships spread across 47 conquered worlds. You have 9 minutes, Captain Sujin continued. Use them to contact your empire and explain your situation. Tell them that Earth is under the protection of the Deep Fleet and that any future threats to our world or our people will be met with appropriate force. Admiral Deho looked around his bridge at his officers. They all stared back at him with fear in their eyes. Outside the ship, through the viewing ports, they could see the human vessels. They moved through space with impossible grace, like huge sea creatures swimming through an ocean of stars. "Sir," whispered Communications Officer Zek Mol, "what do we do?" Admiral Deho looked at the human captain on his screen. She waited patiently, like a predator that knew its prey had nowhere to run. Around her ship, 1 million others waited in formation, ready to follow whatever orders she gave. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Deho was completely outmatched. The humans had not just surprised him, they had made his entire fleet look like children playing with toys. "Captain Sujin," he said, his voice weak and defeated. What are your terms?" Captain Sujin's smile grew wider, and Admiral Deho realized that the hunt was just beginning. Admiral Deho stared at Captain Sujin through the communication screen, waiting for her answer about terms of surrender. His hands shook as he gripped the arms of his command chair. Around his fleet, the human ships hung in space like predators, circling wounded prey. Captain Sujin looked at him with calm, dark eyes. "Admiral, I think you misunderstood my message. I did not offer you terms of surrender. I told you to leave our solar system. You now have 8 minutes to begin your withdrawal." But surely we can negotiate," Admiral Deho said desperately. "The Valkyrian Empire has resources, technology, knowledge that could benefit your people. We could work together." "Admiral," Captain Sujin said patiently, "your empire travels from world to world, conquering and enslaving other species. You came to our home planning to kill billions of our people and take our planet. Why would we want to work with you?" Admiral Deho felt sweat running down his face despite the cool air of his ship's bridge. We could change our ways. The Empire could learn from Earth, become more peaceful." Captain Sujin was quiet for a moment, as if she was considering his words. Then she shook her head. "Admiral, you have 7 minutes. I suggest you use them to contact your empire and explain your situation, because if you are still in our solar system in 7 minutes, we will demonstrate why our ships were built in the deepest, most dangerous places on Earth." Admiral Deho looked around his bridge. His officers stared back at him with fear and confusion. None of them had ever faced a situation like this. The Valkyrian Empire had conquered 47 worlds, and everyone had fallen easily to their superior technology and numbers. "Communications Officer Zek Mol," Admiral Deho said weakly, "contact the Empire. Emergency priority. Tell them we need immediate reinforcement. All available fleets. Sir, Zekmol said carefully. The nearest Imperial fleet is 3 weeks away at maximum speed. And sir, should I tell them about the human fleet size? Admiral Deho closed his eyes. Tell them Earth has 1 million combat vessels. Tell them, we are completely surrounded and outgunned. As Zekmol sent the message, Tactical Officer Velkos spoke up. Sir, maybe we should just leave. We could return with a larger fleet later. No, Admiral Deho said, his voice getting stronger. The Empire does not retreat from primitive worlds. We are Velkarians. We do not bow to inferior species. He stood up and faced the communication screen. Captain Sujin, the Velkarian Empire has ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We will not be intimidated by one world, no matter how many ships you have hidden in your oceans. Captain Sujin sighed. Admiral, you really should have taken the offer to leave peacefully. She turned to her crew. Commander Hyunwoo, signal all fleet commanders. The aliens have refused to leave. Demonstrate our capabilities. Commander Hyunwoo worked at his station. All fleets, this is Deep Blue Actual. Execute demonstration protocol. Show them what our ships can do. What happened next made Admiral Deho and his crew stare in shock and terror. The human ships began to move, but not like any spacecraft they had ever seen. Instead of the slow, careful movements of normal space vessels, the Earth's ships flowed through space like they were swimming. They twisted and turned with impossible grace, performing maneuvers that should have torn them apart from gravitational stress. Some ships moved in spirals, others in complex patterns that formed three-dimensional shapes in space. It was like watching a dance performed by creatures that had been born in the void between stars. "How are they doing that?" whispered Sensor Officer Tekron. "Their ships are pulling gravitational forces that should destroy them." Dr. Heywan appeared on the communication screen next to Captain Sujin. "Admiral, our ships were built to survive in the deepest ocean trenches on Earth. The pressure down there is over 1,000 times greater than normal atmospheric pressure. Your ships were built for the vacuum of space, where there is no pressure at all." She gestured to something off-screen, and the display changed to show technical information about the human ships. "Our hulls are designed to handle extreme pressure changes. Our gravitational drive systems allow us to manipulate space-time itself. We can make our ships heavy or light, fast or slow, just by adjusting the gravity fields around them." Admiral Deho stared at the technical information. The numbers were beyond anything he had seen before. "This is impossible. No species has technology this advanced." "You keep saying that," Captain Sujin said with amusement. "Admiral, when your species learned to fly in space, ours learned to live in the crushing depths of our oceans. When you built ships to fight in vacuum, we built ships to survive anywhere. Which do you think produced better technology?" One of the human ships moved closer to Admiral Deho's flagship. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of his largest vessel, with a hull that seemed to pulse and flow like it was alive. As he watched, sections of the hull opened to reveal weapons unlike anything in the Velkarian arsenal. "Those are pressure cannons," Dr. Heywan explained. "They use gravitational compression to create projectiles that can punch through any known armor. We developed them for deep-sea mining operations, but they work very well against spacecraft." Commander Hyunwoo spoke up. "Captain, the demonstration has been effective. All alien ships are showing elevated stress readings. I believe they understand our capabilities now." Captain Sujin nodded. "Admiral Deho, You now have 5 minutes to begin leaving our solar system. I hope you have used this time wisely to contact your empire. Admiral Deho looked at his communication station. Zek Mol, any response from the empire? Yes, sir, Zek Mol said nervously. High Command says to hold position and wait for reinforcement. They do not believe our reports about the human fleet size. Of course they don't, Admiral Deho muttered. How could anyone believe this? He looked back at Captain Sujin. The Empire has ordered me to hold position. I cannot disobey direct orders. Captain Sujin's expression did not change, but something cold appeared in her eyes. Admiral, that is unfortunate. For you and your crews. She turned to her command staff. All fleet commanders, the aliens have refused to leave peacefully. Execute. Containment protocol. No alien ship leaves this system. Around the Valkyrian fleet, the human ships began moving into tighter formations. What had been a loose surrounding pattern became a perfect sphere of vessels, with the alien ships trapped in the center like insects in amber. Engineer Ye Jin stepped up to Captain Su Jin's side. Captain, all shipyard commanders report ready for the next phase. The automated construction systems can increase production to emergency levels if needed. Shipyards? Admiral Deho asked in confusion. What shipyards? Captain Sujin smiled. Did you think the 1,000,000 ships you see here were all we had, Admiral? These are just the ships that were ready for immediate deployment. Our underwater shipyards have been building vessels continuously for 50 years. We can replace any losses faster than you can destroy our ships. The communication screen split to show images from Earth's ocean floors. Admiral Deho saw massive construction facilities built into underwater mountain ranges, with automated systems working on dozens of ships at the same time. The scale of the operation was staggering. We currently complete approximately 50 new vessels per day, Engineer Ye Jin said matter-of-factly. In emergency production mode, we can increase that to 200 ships per day. Admiral Deho felt like he was drowning. Everything he thought he knew about space warfare, about technology, about the balance of power in the galaxy, was wrong. These humans had not just built a fleet, they had built an entire military-industrial complex hidden beneath their oceans. Captain, Commander Hyun Woo reported, long-range sensors are detecting incoming ships, Valkyrian design, approximately 3 weeks out at their current speed. How many ships? Captain Sujin asked. Approximately 2,000 vessels, Captain. It appears to be their entire reserve fleet. Captain Sujin nodded calmly. Signal the construction centers. Increase to emergency production. If the Valkyrians want to make this a real fight, we will be ready for them. Admiral Deho realized that his call for reinforcement had not saved his fleet. It had only ensured that more Valkyrian ships would be destroyed when they arrived. The humans were not just ready for one battle, they were ready for a war. You have 3 minutes, Admiral, Captain Sujin said quietly. Choose wisely. Admiral Deho stood frozen on his command bridge as the final seconds ticked away. Around his fleet, 1,000,000 human ships waited in perfect formation. The Earth vessels moved through space like living things, their hulls pulsing with energy that made the vacuum itself seem alive. 10 seconds, Admiral, Captain Sujin said calmly from the communication screen. 5 seconds. Time is up. Admiral Deho opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He had waited too long, paralyzed by fear and disbelief. The choice was no longer his to make. All fleet commanders, Captain Sujin said to her ships, the aliens have refused to leave. They have chosen to stay and fight. Begin the hunt. What happened next would be remembered across the galaxy for centuries. The human ships did not attack like a normal fleet. They moved like a pack of predators that had been hunting together for millions of years. The first wave came from below, rising up from where they had positioned themselves under the Valkyrian fleet. These ships moved through space like sharks rising from the deep ocean, their pressure cannons charging with energy that made space itself bend around them. Admiral Deho finally found his voice. "All ships, evasive maneuvers, return fire!" The Valkyrian ships tried to scatter, but they moved like clumsy children compared to the human vessels. The Earth ships flowed around them, cutting off escape routes with movements so smooth and coordinated that it looked like a deadly dance. Fire. "All weapons!" Admiral Deho screamed. The Valkyrian energy beams lanced out toward the human ships, bright blue streams of concentrated power that had destroyed the fleets of 47 worlds. The beams struck the curved hulls of the Earth vessels and did almost nothing. The energy weapons had been designed to work in the vacuum of space, where there was no resistance and no pressure. But the human ships had hulls built to survive in the deepest ocean trenches. The pressure down there was crushing, deadly, and constant. The Valkyrian energy beams simply spread across the hulls like water hitting a stone. "Impossible," whispered Tactical Officer Velkas. "Our weapons are having no effect." "Sir!" Sensor Officer Tekron called out in panic. "The human ships are locking targeting systems on us. I'm reading massive energy buildup in their weapons. The human pressure cannons fired. The weapons had been built for deep-sea mining, designed to crush rock and metal under pressures that would destroy any normal equipment. When they fired in space, they created gravitational compression waves that hit the Valkyrian ships like invisible hammers. The first alien vessel to be hit simply came apart. The hull cracked and split as gravitational forces tore it into pieces. The crew inside had no time to escape or even understand what was happening to them. More pressure cannons fired, more Valkyrian ships died. "Shields up!" Admiral Deho ordered desperately. "Shields are up, sir," replied Engineering Officer Mertok. "But they are not stopping the human weapons. Their attack method is unlike anything we have encountered." Captain Sujin watched the battle from the bridge of the Leviathan. Around her, the command crew worked with calm efficiency. This was what they had trained for, what they had prepared for decades. "Commander Jin-A," she said into her communication system, "take Squadron 7 and capture some of their ships intact. We need to study their technology." "Understood, Captain," came the reply from Commander Jin-A. "Moving to capture positions now." Commander Jin-A led her squadron through the battle like a knife cutting through silk. Her ships were smaller and faster than the main battle vessels, built for precision work in the deepest ocean trenches. They moved between the Valkyrian ships, using gravitational fields to disable engines and weapons without destroying the vessels completely. "Target the ship with the fancy decorations," Commander Jin-A told her pilots. "That looks like their command vessel." Her squadron surrounded Admiral Deho's flagship, their ships moving in a complex pattern that created gravitational fields around the alien vessel. The Valkyrian ship found itself unable to move, trapped in invisible forces that held it as surely as chains. "Sir," Engineering Officer Mertok called out in terror, "we cannot move. Something is holding us in place." Admiral Deho looked at his tactical display. Most of his fleet was already gone, destroyed by weapons he did not understand. The few ships that remained were being systematically captured or eliminated by human forces that moved through space like they had been born there. Captain Tae-young brought his engineering squadron forward to examine the captured Valkyrian vessels. His ships carried teams of scientists and engineers who specialized in analyzing alien technology in real time. Captain Su-jin, he reported over the communication system, initial scans of the alien ships show interesting but primitive technology. Their energy systems are efficient but limited. Their hull design is adequate for space combat, but would collapse instantly under any real pressure. How long to fully analyze their capabilities? Captain Su-jin asked. Give us 30 minutes, Captain. We will know everything about their technology by then. Admiral Dae-ho listened to this conversation with growing horror. The humans were not just defeating his fleet, they were studying it, learning from it, improving their own capabilities while they fought. This was not just a battle. This was a demonstration of technological superiority so complete that resistance was meaningless. Captain Su-jin, he said desperately, please, my crew. They are just following orders. They do not deserve to die for the Empire's mistakes. Captain Su-jin looked at him through the communication screen. Her expression was not cruel, but it was absolutely determined. Admiral, your crew chose to serve an empire that conquers and enslaves other species. They came here planning to kill billions of my people. What did you expect would happen? We did not know Earth was defended, Admiral Dae-ho said weakly. You did not care whether Earth was defended? Captain Su-jin corrected. You assumed we were weak and helpless, so you decided to take our world by force. The only reason you are concerned about your crew now is that you discovered we are stronger than you. Dr. Hae-won stepped into view on the communication screen. Admiral, we have been monitoring your empire's expansion for decades. We know about the 47 worlds you have conquered. We know about the billions of people you have enslaved or killed. Did you think the galaxy would never find someone willing to stop you? Admiral Dae-ho felt the last of his hope die. What? What will you do with us? That depends, Captain Su-jin said. Your empire has a reserve fleet coming here. 2,000 ships arriving in approximately 3 weeks. You can contact them and tell them to turn around, or you can watch us destroy them just like we destroyed your fleet. And if I contact them, then you and your surviving crew will be taken to Earth for questioning. We want to know everything about your empire, their military strength, their technology, the location of conquered worlds, and the condition of enslaved populations. Admiral Dae-ho understood. The humans were not just defending themselves, they were preparing to take the fight to the Valkyrian Empire itself. Around the battlefield, the last few Valkyrian ships were being captured or destroyed. The entire engagement had lasted less than an hour. 800 ships, reduced to scrap metal and prisoners by an enemy they had thought was primitive and weak. Captain, Commander Hyun-woo reported, all enemy vessels have been neutralized. We have captured 43 ships intact, including their flagship. Total human casualties, 0 ships lost, minor damage to 3 vessels. Captain Su-jin nodded. Excellent work. Begin moving the captured ships to Deep Station Alpha for analysis. She turned back to Admiral Dae-ho. Admiral, you have a choice to make. Contact your incoming fleet and tell them to turn around or watch us destroy 2,000. More ships when they arrive. Either way, the Valkyrian Empire's expansion ends here. Admiral Dae-ho looked around his bridge at his surviving officers. They stared back at him with fear and defeat in their eyes. Everything they thought they knew about the galaxy had been proven wrong in less than an hour. If I contact them, he said slowly, if I tell them to turn around, what guarantee do I have that you will not hunt down and destroy the Empire anyway? Captain Sujin smiled, and for the first time, it was not entirely unfriendly. Admiral, we are not conquerors. Like your people, we do not travel the galaxy looking for worlds to enslave. But if your empire continues to threaten innocent species, if you continue to expand and conquer and kill, then yes, we will stop you. And if we change, if we release the conquered worlds and stop the expansion, then you will have nothing to fear from Earth, Captain Sujin said simply. We are not your enemies, Admiral. We are the enemies of anyone who threatens peaceful civilizations. Admiral Deho closed his eyes and made his decision. News of the Velcarian fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On worlds that had lived in fear of the Empire for centuries, people gathered around communication devices to hear the impossible reports coming from a small blue planet called Earth. On Kepler 442b, a world that had been conquered by the Velcarians 50 years ago, the enslaved population watched in amazement as the story spread through their underground networks. The humans had not just defeated a Velcarian fleet, they had made it look easy. "Is it really true?" asked Zara, a young engineer who had never known freedom. "Did Earth really destroy 800 Velcarian ships?" "The reports are coming from multiple sources," replied Elder Caton, who remembered life before the conquest. "Even the Galactic Council is confirming it. One world stood up to the Empire and won. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of conquered worlds throughout the galaxy. For the first time in generations, people who had given up hope began to believe that freedom might be possible. On the Galactic Council station, located at the center of the galaxy, emergency sessions had been called, the council chambers filled, with representatives from hundreds of species, all trying to understand what had happened at Earth. Speaker Veltar, the eldest member of the council, called for order in the Great Hall. His ancient voice carried clearly through the vast space. "We are here to discuss the reports from the Sol system. As you all know, the Velcarian Empire sent a conquest fleet to Earth 3 days ago. That fleet has been completely destroyed." A wave of excited chatter filled the hall. The Velcarian Empire had been the most powerful military force in the galaxy for 3,000 years. No one had ever successfully resisted them before. Furthermore, Speaker Veltar continued, "We have received communications from Earth itself. They claim to have a military fleet of over 1 million vessels, all hidden beneath their planet's oceans. They are requesting immediate membership in the Galactic Council." The chatter grew louder. 1 million ships was more than the combined fleets of the 50 most powerful worlds in the galaxy. On Earth, Captain Sujin had been promoted to Fleet Admiral and now stood in the main command center of New Atlantis. Around her, screen showed images from across the galaxy as the news spread. The reaction was exactly what they had hoped for. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Sung Ho, "we are receiving thousands of messages from across the galaxy. Conquered worlds are asking for help. Free worlds want to establish diplomatic relations. The Galactic Council wants to meet with you immediately." Fleet Admiral Sujin nodded. "Good. Dr. Minho, are you ready for the next phase?" Dr. Minho stepped forward, carrying a data tablet filled with information that would shock the galaxy even more than the fleet's existence. He was Earth's chief xenobiologist and had spent 20 years studying captured alien technology. "Admiral, the evidence packages are ready for transmission," he said. "We have complete technical specifications for Velcarian ships, weapons, and defensive systems. We also have detailed information about their military organization and the location of their shipyards." "Excellent. And the analysis of their conquered worlds?" "Also ready, Admiral. We have identified 47 enslaved civilizations with a total population of approximately 12 billion people living under Velcarian control. Fleet Admiral Su Jin walked to the main communication station. Open a channel to the Galactic Council. It is time to introduce ourselves properly. The transmission reached the Council station within minutes. On the great screens in the Council chambers, Fleet Admiral Su Jin appeared. Behind her, the command center of New Atlantis was visible, with its advanced technology and calm, professional crew. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. "I am Fleet Admiral Su Jin of Earth's Deep Fleet. We are honored to address you today." Speaker Veltar leaned forward in his chair. "Admiral Su Jin, the reports we have received about your fleet's capabilities seem difficult to believe. Can you confirm that Earth possesses over 1 million combat vessels?" "We can confirm that, Speaker Veltar. However, that number is now outdated. As of this morning, we have 1,437 vessels ready for immediate deployment, with more being completed every day." A gasp went through the council chambers. Even the outdated number had been shocking. The new count was beyond imagination. "How is this possible?" asked Representative Theclon from the Andromedan Collective. "Our scouts reported that Earth was a primitive world with no space-based military capabilities." Fleet Admiral Su Jin smiled. "Representative Theclon, your scouts saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Earth's surface does appear primitive to someone scanning from space. What your scouts could not see was what lies beneath our oceans." The main screen changed to show images of the underwater cities and shipyards. The council members stared in amazement at the massive construction. Facilities built into Earth's deepest ocean trenches. "For over 50 years, Fleet Admiral Su Jin continued, we have been preparing for contact with galactic civilization. We studied your species, your technology, and your history. What we learned concerned us greatly." Dr. Minho stepped into view. "Honorable council members, we discovered that the galaxy is dominated by aggressive expansionist empires like the Velcarians. Peaceful species are conquered or destroyed. We decided that if we were to survive first contact, we needed to be stronger than any potential threat. So you built 1 million ships in secret," said Representative Kel Nash from the Tau Ceti Republic. "That must have taken enormous resources. Earth's oceans cover 71% of our planet's surface," Fleet Admiral Su Jin explained. "The deep ocean trenches provided perfect locations for construction facilities that could not be detected from space. We used our ocean's natural resources and developed technology specifically designed for deep water construction." General Bo Ram appeared on the screen next to Fleet Admiral Su Jin. "The surface governments of Earth worked together to support the Deep Fleet project. Every nation contributed resources, personnel, and technology. This was not the project of one country. It was the united effort of our entire species." Speaker Veltar was quiet for a long moment, processing what he had heard. "Admiral Su Jin, what are Earth's intentions now? You have demonstrated that you possess the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. How do you plan to use this power?" Fleet Admiral Su Jin's expression became serious. "Speaker Veltar, we have no interest in conquering other worlds or building an empire. However, we will not allow aggressive species to continue enslaving and destroying peaceful civilizations." The main screen changed again to show detailed information about the Velcarian Empire's conquered worlds. The data was incredibly complete, showing population numbers, resource extraction rates, and the conditions of enslaved populations. "We demand the immediate release of all species under Valkyrian control, Fleet Admiral Sujin said. We also demand that the Empire withdraw to their original territory and cease all expansion activities. Representative Morkai from the Centauri Alliance spoke up. Admiral, the Valkyrian Empire will never agree to those demands voluntarily. They would rather fight than give up their conquered territories. Then they will fight, Fleet Admiral, Sujin said simply. But they will not win. Captain Yujin stepped forward. Honorable Council members, Earth's Deep Fleet is not just a military force. We have ships designed for humanitarian operations, medical support, and reconstruction assistance. We are prepared to help liberate and rebuild the worlds that have suffered under Valkyrian rule. Commander So Young joined the group on screen. We are also prepared to establish colonies and outposts throughout the galaxy to ensure that aggressive empires cannot threaten peaceful species in the future. The implications of what the humans were proposing began to sink in among the council members. Earth was not just offering to defeat the Valkyrian Empire, they were proposing to completely restructure the balance of power in the galaxy. This is unprecedented, whispered Representative Zekthar from the Vegan Confederacy. One world challenging an entire galactic empire. Not one world, Fleet Admiral Sujin corrected. One world working with the Galactic Council and all peaceful species to create a galaxy where freedom and cooperation replace conquest and enslavement. Speaker Veltar stood up slowly. Admiral Sujin, the Galactic Council will need time to consider your proposals. The changes you are suggesting would affect every civilization in the galaxy. Of course, Speaker Veltar, we understand that these are important decisions. However, I should inform you that the Valkyrian Empire is sending a reserve fleet of 2,000 ships to Earth. They will arrive in approximately 20 days. We would prefer to have the Council's support before that battle begins. The Council chambers erupted in excited conversation. The humans were not just making proposals, they were preparing for the largest space battle in galactic history. Admiral, Speaker Veltar said when order was restored, what happens if the Council does not support your actions? Fleet Admiral Sujin looked directly at the camera, her dark eyes showing. 20 days had passed since Fleet Admiral Sujin's address to the Galactic Council. In that time, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The impossible had become reality, and the age-old order was crumbling. On the Galactic Council Station, Speaker Veltar stood before the Great Assembly Hall. Representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the chamber, their faces showing mixtures of hope, fear, and amazement. The debates had gone on for days, but finally, a decision had been reached. The vote is complete, Speaker Veltar announced, his ancient voice carrying to every corner of the vast hall. By a count of 412 in favor, 63 against, and 25 abstaining, the Galactic Council formally recognizes Earth as a member world and supports their actions to liberate conquered populations throughout the galaxy. The chamber erupted in cheers from representatives of worlds that had lived in fear of the Valkyrian Empire for generations. For the first time in centuries, they had hope that freedom was possible. Representative Kelnash from the Tau Ceti Republic stood up. Speaker Veltar, what about military support? Will Council worlds provide ships to assist Earth in the coming battle? 12 member worlds have volunteered to send fleets to support Earth's operations, Speaker Veltar replied. While their combined forces are small compared to Earth's fleet, they represent the galaxy's commitment to ending the age of conquest. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Su Jin received the news in the command center of New Atlantis. Around her, the massive underwater city hummed with activity as final preparations were made for the largest space battle in galactic history. "Admiral," reported Captain Yu Jin, "the Council support fleets are arriving in the outer system. 237 ships from 12 different worlds, all requesting coordination with our forces." Fleet Admiral Su Jin nodded. "Excellent. Have them take positions in the secondary defensive grid. Their crews should observe and learn how we fight. This will not be their last battle." Commander So Young stepped forward with a data tablet. "Admiral, our liberation fleets are ready for deployment. As soon as the Valkyrian Reserve Fleet is defeated, we can begin operations to free the conquered worlds." "How many ships?" 300,000 vessels dedicated to liberation operations, Admiral. Each fleet includes medical ships, supply, vessels, construction units, and humanitarian support. We are ready to rebuild as well as liberate." Fleet Admiral Su Jin walked to the main tactical display, which showed the positions of Earth's forces throughout the solar system. 1,000,000 ships were spread across space in carefully planned formations, with more vessels hidden in the asteroid belt and outer planets. "Dr. He Wan," she said to the chief scientist, "what is the status of our new technologies?" Dr. He Wan looked up from her research station with excitement in her eyes. "Admiral, the analysis of captured Valkyrian technology has been very productive. We have improved our gravitational drive systems by 30% and developed new weapons that specifically target their hull materials. And the special project? Complete and ready for deployment, Admiral. The gravitational cascade weapon will allow us to disable entire enemy formations without destroying them. We can capture the entire reserve fleet intact if needed. Fleet." Admiral Su Jin smiled. The humans had not been idle during the 20-day wait. Every captured Valkyrian ship had been studied, analyzed, and reverse-engineered. Earth's technology was already superior to anything in the galaxy, and now it was getting better at an incredible pace. "Admiral," Communications Officer Sung Ho called out, "Long-range sensors are detecting the Valkyrian Reserve Fleet. 2,000 ships approaching from the galactic core. They will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. "Signal all fleet commanders," Fleet Admiral Su Jin ordered. "This is not a drill. The enemy is coming. In the deep space between stars, the Valkyrian Reserve Fleet moved toward Earth with grim determination. Admiral Zekhar commanded the largest battle fleet in the Empire's history, brought together from outposts across 47 conquered worlds. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "we are detecting massive energy signatures from the Earth system. The reports about their fleet size appear to be accurate." Admiral Zekhar stared at the long-range sensor displays. The number of ships around Earth was beyond anything he had imagined possible. 2 million vessels? How is this possible? "Sir, the fleet count is now showing 2,100,000 ships. They appear to be adding more vessels even as we approach." Admiral Zekhar felt fear creeping into his heart, but he forced it down. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. One primitive world could not defeat the combined might of their greatest fleet. "All ships, battle formation," he ordered. "We will show these humans the true power of the Valkyrian Empire." Back on Earth, General Boram stood in her surface command center, coordinating with the deep fleet operations. The past 20 days had seen remarkable changes on the surface as well. The secret of the deep fleet was out, and humanity had united like never before. "General," reported Colonel Namsik, "surface defenses are ready. All major cities have been evacuated to the underground shelters. If any enemy ships break through the deep fleet, we are prepared." "That won't be necessary, Colonel," General Boram said with confidence. "The Velcarians are about to learn what happens when you threaten." Earth. In space around Earth, the deep fleet moved into final battle positions. The ships flowed through the void like living creatures, their hulls gleaming with energy fields that bent light around them. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Captain Tae Young led the engineering corps in final preparations. "All ships, this is engineering command. Gravitational drives at maximum efficiency, pressure cannon systems charged and ready. Remember, we want to capture as many ships as possible. We still have a lot to learn from their technology." Commander Jin A coordinated the capture squadrons. "Fast attack groups, stay mobile and target their command vessels. We need their leadership alive for questioning about the conquered worlds." As the Velcarian fleet entered the outer solar system, they were met by something that no military force in galactic history had ever faced. 2 million ships moved to intercept them, not in the rigid formations of traditional space warfare, but like a vast school of predatory fish responding to the approach of prey. "This is Fleet Admiral Sujin to all Earth forces," came the calm voice over the communication channels. "The enemy has entered our system. They came here planning to destroy our world and enslave our people. Instead, they will learn that Earth stands with all free peoples of the galaxy. Begin the hunt." The battle began immediately, but it was unlike any space combat the galaxy had ever seen. The Earth ships moved through space with impossible grace, using gravitational manipulation to perform maneuvers that should have been physically impossible. The Velcarian fleet tried to maintain formation, but they were outnumbered by more than 1,000 to 1. Every time they turned to face one group of human ships, 10 more groups appeared from different directions. Admiral Zekhar watched in horror as his powerful fleet was carved apart by enemies that moved like they had been born in the void between stars. "How are they doing this? How are they everywhere at once?" His tactical officer's voice shook with fear. "Sir, their ships appear to be coordinating perfectly. They move like a single organism, rather than separate vessels." The pressure cannons fired, and Velcarian ships began to disappear, but these weapons were different from the ones used in the first battle. Instead of destroying the enemy vessels, they used precise gravitational fields to disable engines and weapons while leaving the ships intact. "Sir," the communications officer called out desperately, "we are receiving surrender offers from the human fleet. They are promising safe treatment for our crews if we stand down." Admiral Zekhar looked around his bridge at his terrified officers. The battle had been going on for only 30 minutes, and already half his fleet was disabled or captured. The humans were not just winning, they were demonstrating that resistance was completely futile. "All ships," he said with a voice heavy, "with defeat, cease fire and surrender. The Empire's expansion is over." Fleet Admiral Sujin watched the last Velcarian ships power down their weapons. In less than an hour, the largest battle fleet in the Empire's history had been completely defeated with minimal casualties on either side. "Commander So Young," she said calmly, "deploy the liberation fleets. It is time to free the conquered worlds." Across the galaxy, news of the Velcarian Reserve Fleet's defeat spread like wildfire. On enslaved worlds, populations that had known only oppression for generations prepared for freedom. The empire that had ruled through fear and violence for 3,000 years was about to discover that their time was over. The humans had not just won a battle, they had begun a revolution that would reshape the entire galaxy. 6 months after the defeat of the Velcarian Reserve Fleet, The galaxy was a completely different place. The age of empires built on conquest and slavery had ended, replaced by something that had never existed before, a galactic community based on cooperation and mutual protection. Fleet Admiral Su Jin stood on the observation deck of the Kraken, humanity's newest and most powerful flagship. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see the rings of Saturn in the distance, but her mind was focused on the reports coming in from across the galaxy. "Admiral," Captain Yu Jin said as she approached with a data tablet, "the liberation of the vegan colonies is complete. That makes 37 worlds freed from Valkyrian control. The remaining 10 worlds should be liberated within the next month." Fleet Admiral Su Jin nodded, feeling a deep satisfaction at the progress they had made. "What about the humanitarian situation on those worlds?" "Much better than we expected, Admiral. Dr. Minho's medical teams report that most populations are in good health, despite decades of oppression. The Valkyrians were efficient slavers. They needed their workers to be strong enough to be productive." Commander So Young joined them, carrying her own reports. "Admiral, the reconstruction efforts are ahead of schedule on most worlds. Our engineering Corps has been working with local populations to rebuild infrastructure and establish self-governing systems." "Any resistance from the former Valkyrian forces?" "Very little, Admiral. Most of their military commanders have accepted the new reality. Admiral Zekhar has been particularly helpful in providing information about Imperial operations and helping with the transition on conquered worlds." Fleet Admiral Su Jin walked to the main communications station, where Communications Officer Seung-ho was monitoring transmissions from across the galaxy. The volume of messages had increased dramatically as news of the liberation spread. "What's the latest from the Galactic Council?" she asked. "Very positive, Admiral," Seung-ho replied. "Speaker Veltar reports that membership applications have increased by 300%. Species that have been hiding or avoiding contact with galactic civilization are now coming forward, wanting to join the new cooperative framework." Dr. Hei Wan approached from the science section, her face showing the excitement that came from discovering something remarkable. "Admiral, I have some interesting news from our research teams." "What have you found, Doctor?" "We have been analyzing the technology from all 47 former Valkyrian worlds, and we have discovered something fascinating. Many of these civilizations had advanced technologies that were suppressed by the Empire. Some of them had innovations that are superior to our own in specific areas." Fleet Admiral Su Jin raised an eyebrow. "Superior to Earth technology?" "In certain specialized fields, yes. For example, the scientists from Kepler 442b had developed medical nanotechnology that could repair cellular damage at the molecular level. The engineers from Tau Ceti had created energy storage systems that are 50% more efficient than our own. And now that they are free to share this knowledge?" Dr. Hei Wan smiled. "Now we are all learning from each other, Admiral. The liberation has not just freed these populations, it has freed their knowledge and creativity as well. The technological advancement happening across the galaxy right now is unprecedented." Captain Tae Young entered the observation deck, carrying news from Earth's shipyards. "Admiral, I have the latest production reports from the home system." "Go ahead, Captain." "Current fleet strength is now 3,800,000 vessels. The automated shipyards have exceeded all production targets, and we have established new construction facilities in 12 liberated systems." Fleet Admiral Su Jin was amazed by the numbers, but not surprised. Earth's industrial capacity had been designed to expand rapidly once the secret was revealed. "What about crew training for the new ships?" "That's the most interesting development, Admiral. We have volunteers from every liberated world wanting to join Earth's deep fleet. The training academies on Earth and in the underwater cities are operating at full capacity. Commander Jinneh approached the group with reports from the outer systems. Admiral, our patrol fleets report all quiet on the galactic rim. No sign of aggressive expansion from any remaining empire. What about the other major powers? The Andromedan Collective, the Centauri Alliance? All cooperating with the new galactic framework, Admiral. Some of them are even requesting Earth advisors to help them reform their own military forces along our non-aggressive model. Fleet Admiral Su Jin walked back to the windows looking out at the stars. Each point of light represented a solar system, and many of those systems now contained worlds that were free for the first time in generations. Admiral, Dr. Minho said as he joined the group, we have received a formal request from the Galactic Council. They want Earth to establish a permanent peacekeeping force to prevent future aggressive expansion by any species. What are the details? They are proposing a fleet of 500,000 ships stationed at strategic points throughout the galaxy, with rapid response capabilities to any world that comes under threat. The force would be commanded by Earth, but would include crews from all Council member worlds. Fleet Admiral Su Jin considered the proposal. It was exactly what she had hoped would happen, the galaxy taking responsibility for its own protection, rather than relying on the dominance of aggressive empires. Send our acceptance to the Council, she decided. But with one condition, the peacekeeping force must include officers and crew from at least 50 different worlds. This cannot be an Earth-dominated organization. Understood, Admiral. General. Bo-Ram's image appeared on the main communication screen, transmitting from her office in Seoul. Admiral Su Jin, I have updates from the surface governments. Go ahead, General. The revelation of the Deep Fleet has had remarkable effects on Earth's unity. For the first time in human history, every nation is working together on common goals. The resources that were once spent on military competition between countries are now being directed toward exploration, science, and helping the liberated worlds. That's excellent news, General. How is the public adapting to our new role in the galaxy? General Bo-Ram smiled. Better than we could have hoped, Admiral. There is tremendous pride in what we have accomplished, but also a sense of responsibility. People understand that with great power comes the duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Fleet Admiral Su Jin nodded. That had always been the plan, not just to build the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, but to use that power wisely and justly. Admiral, Engineer Ye-Jin called from her station. We are receiving a priority transmission from the former Velkarian homeworld. Put it through. The screen changed to show a figure that Fleet Admiral Su Jin recognized. Former Admiral Daeho, the commander of the first Velkarian fleet to threaten Earth. But he looked very different now. Instead of the arrogant confidence he had shown 6 months ago, his expression was humble and respectful. Fleet Admiral Su Jin, he said, I am contacting you on behalf of the Velkarian Provisional Government. We have completed the withdrawal of all Imperial forces to our original territory, as you demanded. All conquered worlds have been evacuated of Velkarian personnel. What about reparations to the enslaved populations? Fleet Admiral Su Jin asked. We are prepared to provide whatever assistance we can, Admiral. Our industrial capacity is being converted from military production to manufacturing goods needed for reconstruction on the liberated worlds. We want to make amends for what the Empire did. Fleet Admiral Su Jin studied the former admiral's face. She could see genuine remorse there, along with something that had not existed before. Hope. Admiral Daeho, what are your people's plans for the future? We want to join the galactic community as a peaceful member, Admiral. The old ways of conquest and expansion brought us nothing but enemies and fear. We have seen what cooperation and mutual aid can accomplish through Earth's example. The Galactic Council will need to approve any application for membership from your world, Fleet Admiral Su-Jin said. There are many species who suffered under Imperial rule. Earning their forgiveness will take time. We understand, Admiral. We are prepared to spend as long as necessary proving that we have changed. The transmission ended, and Fleet Admiral Su-Jin reflected on how much the galaxy had changed. Even their former enemies were now seeking to join the community of peaceful worlds. Admiral, Captain Yu-Jin said quietly, do you think they can really change after 3,000 years of conquest? People can always change, Captain, Fleet Admiral Su-Jin replied. The question is whether they want to badly enough. Time will tell. Dr. Heywan approached with her final report of the day. Admiral, our deep space exploration fleets have made contact with 17 previously unknown civilizations in the past month. All of them are interested in joining the galactic community. Any threats? None, Admiral. Word of what happened to the Valkyrian Empire has spread far beyond the known galaxy. Every species we encounter has heard about Earth's deep fleet and the new galactic order. Most are